This podcast is sponsored by Pocket Hose.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn. Homeowners, listen up. Before Pocket Hose, garden hoses were heavy, bulky, hard to carry, and always kinking. Then Pocket Hose changed all that. It's the American invention that made watering lighter, easier, and smarter. And now, the world's #1 expanding hose has gone ballistic. Turn on the water and watch it grow from a compact hose into a full-length, powerful hose. Turn off the water and it shrinks right back down, making it easy to carry and easy to store. But now it's even better. With a tough ballistic-infused outer sleeve, a pocket pivot that helps reduce kinks at the spigot, thicker washers to help resist leaks, and UV protection to fight sun damage. And for a limited time, you'll get 2 free gifts, a 360-degree pocket pivot and a thumb drive nozzle. Just go to pockethose.com/podcast. That's pockethose.com/podcast for your 2 free gifts with purchase. pockethose.com/PODCAST.
This podcast is part of the Neverland Network, where faith meets video games, movies, and fun. Find more shows like this at neverlandpodcast.com.
From days long ago, from uncharted regions of the universe, comes a legend.
The dream that came through a million years, that lived on through all the tears.
It came here, the Fandom Nexus.
Fabulous secret powers were revealed to our host as he plugged in his microphone.
I have a podcast!
Here he is, your Spider-Pan, Jeremy.
Hello, yes, we are back again, and I know my microphone sounds a little different, doesn't it? Because we are actually sitting in my living room, and I've got a lapel mic on. We're actually about to record for, you're getting tangled up in the cable there? There we go. Oh, no. But we're about to actually record that we're going to watch the 1987 Masters of the Universe. So if you're going to listen to Watching Movies with My Pastor, it's a very special kind of bonus. It's not really a bonus, but a very special episode, the 1987 Masters of the Universe, to go in coinciding with last week here in the Fandom Nexus, where we did a review of the new film. But today on the Fandom Nexus, and Philip is here, of course, with me.
It's me, Pastor Gwildor.
well, but that's for for a different show. This show is all about Margaret Kerry having passed away, which Philip didn't quite remember who she was. I'm like, oh, Philip.
I didn't know her by name.
Yeah,
I met her, and I love her. She's starring on my favorite episode of Andy Griffith Show,
the Christmas episode.
Yeah, and she's on another where they have the same character. She was a sweetheart.
She really was. And she passed away over the weekend, and so I'm dedicating this episode to her, and I figure, well, what a better way to do it than sharing the time that I've interviewed her. Also, she had a panel, which I don't believe I've ever released the audio of the panel when I was looking for it, but I did have the video of it up on YouTube. But I'm going to release the audio to you of a panel she had at the Kansas City Comic-Con years and years ago, the same year that I first met her and got to interview her early that Sunday morning. I got to interview her, and then after the panel, she actually saw me behind walking back out there, and she said, well, Jeremy, so you remembered me.
What a sweetie.
The thing is though, she had a thing she told me about when I was getting my book signed. It was a few years later, and I'm sure she meets a lot of people. But she told me that she does have a memory thing where sometimes she goes to bed at night and she forgot everything that happened that previous day.
Well, that happens.
So, when you get older, but she had memory problems, so she didn't really remember me the other time I met her, and got her book and got it signed and all that kind of fun stuff. And
she reminded me an awful lot of
his microphone, so that's what the clicking and popping is.
She reminded me an awful lot of my grandmother and the ladies of that generation. They were outstanding, and I just absolutely loved them. They were a great generation, really the generation of World War II.
Yeah.
And I just loved them for that. And I'll never be able to forget those wonderful ladies, and I appreciate them so much. And if by chance, and I'm sure they're from a different generation, but if you have your grandmother around still, treat her with love and compassion and kindness. Appreciate every moment you have them, because, man, one day they won't be there.
One day they won't be there.
So always show love and kindness to them, because you never know.
Yep. And you know what? While I'm in here, I should probably go ahead and mention Dubby, which if you go to neverlandpodcast.com, you'll find the big link there, the big thing for Dubby. Dubby, if you happen to play a lot of video games and you want to have a chance to get some energy, but you don't want to get the jitters or anything, you need some good, healthy energy, so you don't want all that caffeine, Dubby has all kinds of different flavors. It's a powder you just mix with water. You got everything you want on there, and I get a little kickback if you go use that link right there at neverlandpodcast.com. That website is the home of all of the Neverland network of podcasts. And Philip is trying to get this thing figured out. I'm trying to get to where he has a bit more wire on
There's a knot. I apologize.
Okay, well, it's not a knot. Hell, well, I'll fix him up before we start recording the next one. But without further ado, I'm going to pass you over to Margaret Kerry for the rest of the show.
All right, Neverlanders. We're here standing with Margaret Kerry, Tinkerbell herself. Hello.
Hello. I'm so happy to meet you. The Neverlanders broadcast.
Yeah, Neverland podcast. So it's appropriate. I had to talk to you.
Oh, well, of course. You know, it's so interesting. When I do my research or talk to people, they ask me questions. There are many, many people who spell Neverland for 2 words. But I happen to have the original book by James M. Barrie with me, and he spells it 1 word. Mm-hmm. And every once in a while he says Never Neverland.
Exactly.
Just every once in a while. So that's your lesson for today, everybody.
And buy a good hardcover. I got a hardcover for about $10 at a Barnes & Noble, if I can speak English. That is a very priced thing. It's a very nice hardcover, so it's worth having. Classic books are always worth reading.
Absolutely, and it's lovely to hold a leather-covered book in your hand. You feel so swell elegant.
It's like, look, I'm reading sophisticated literature now.
That's right.
Even though I've probably been through the book more times on audiobook, I kept checking it out of the library. I used to work in an office.
Oh.
And so I'd listen to it. And
well, do you remember that in the book, if people haven't read it, they may not know, that all the Lost Boys were taller than Peter Pan?
Yeah, because they described him about 6 years old.
Yes.
Still has his baby teeth.
Yes, and the other thing was that Peter could never figure out what twins were, and he wouldn't let any of the boys tell him because the rules were that none of them could know things that he didn't know.
Right.
Otherwise, they were out of there. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, and my wife actually quotes the book at me when I would say, "Oh, look how well I did at this." She'd say, "Oh, the wonderfulness of me," which Peter says out like 10 times throughout the book.
Well, of course, and he's right. Mm-hmm. He's absolutely. We forget that he can be a little bit manipulative.
Yeah.
And I did over 600 cartoons, voiceovers.
Wow.
The Clutch Cargo, The Three Stooges, The Space Angel for television. They're still running. And so I speak different dialects and have several different voices.
My goodness.
And so one of the things that I do here at Comic-Con and do at Disneyland when I'm asked to, is I read from the book, actual scenes, and then I do the voice of Wendy, you know. Oh, Peter.
Are you going to do that tomorrow at the panel?
I am.
Oh, I'm okay.
I am.
I'm totally going to be here.
And then Peter's, well, my name is Peter Pan. And what do you mean? Yeah, that's all. Just Peter Pan. And then, of course, Tinkerbell. She's a little different than that.
Yep.
So I do the different voices and I read the scenes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I have a lovely time. I did that in front of 2 major audiences at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library.
Oh, my gosh.
If you can believe.
Wow.
I got a standing ovation. But James M. Barrie will always get a standing ovation.
Yeah. Well, it's good stuff. It's good books. I'm still trying to find, because I guess there's a second book, Peter and Wendy, and I never find it anywhere.
It's my understanding that Peter and Wendy was the title that he gave the first book, and then it got changed. However, it's very muddy. At least my deep research. I like Wikipedia. Yes, I like Wikipedia. I'm sorry,
Just
folks.
not always accurate, but it's
close enough.
Yeah, close enough.
If you get into other research, I mean, they take 4 pages to tell you that he was actually born on the 5th block over on the 3rd house, up on the 2nd floor on the 9th. I mean, you say, I really don't need to know that.
Well, except for Walt Disney, I do have to know that because, he's got one of his childhood homes is actually here on Bellefontaine. I went over there, I took some pictures of it, and I actually hosted a panel at Planet Comic-Con this year. I had some people from the museum in Marceline come down. We talked about his time in Marceline. Have you ever gotten to visit up there in Marceline, now that I think about it?
No, but they have visited me several times when they've come to town, with the shows, and so I've gotten to know them quite well.
It's a beautiful museum. You got to go sometime.
I missed going on the Carolwood Pacific. That is the railroad that Walt Disney started. That was the name of his railroad in his backyard. And so there is an organization, Roger Brogy, and they piled, anyone can join it. It's just a wonderful idea. But they piled everybody on a train, about 4 years ago, and they went to Marceline on a special coach, and they had a 4th of July party there. And I was doing another show, so I couldn't go.
Actually, just a couple of weeks ago, they had some Disney Legends that were like the original Club 55 cast members there. They love having Disney Legends visit, and they'll let you do a program.
There you go.
You can sell some more books.
It really is amazing. Walt Disney is amazing. We were just talking about this project here that I'm backing, which is Thank You, Walt Disney, which to me is so important because, and we were joking about it, but it's true, that Walt Disney changed the world. He changes, I don't care where it is. I don't think if anyone has ever seen a movie, they've seen a Walt Disney movie, I don't ever think that one of their kids will ever let them kill a mouse.
Right.
You're not going to kill that, are you, Daddy? No, Daddy, no, he's so cute. What? He's so cute. Walt Disney says so. And he changed our direction of the way that we feel about animals. We do. I remember, I'm so old. I was born in 1929, and I caused the Depression. Oh, yes, I did. You're laughing. But it went right downhill from there. So I went to work when I was 4.
Wow.
But my parents were old enough to be my grandparents. So I have a tremendous history behind me of how they lived their lives with me in their life. They were 53 years old when they adopted me.
Wow.
Adoption was a big thing in the Depression time.
Yeah.
So, but I know how they looked at animals, and I know how they looked at children. And for example, putting me to work when I was 4 was nothing. That's what kids did.
Yeah.
My dad told me, I found my family after 50 years, by the way.
Wow, cool.
Yes, it's a pixie dust life, I will tell you. But my dad told me when he was 7, he got the job of currying the horses next door for the neighbors.
Wow.
And he got 50 cents a month for doing that. And then he sold newspapers before he went to school. Always could put money on the table on Friday night for his family. He said, all the kids, we didn't think anything about it. Nowadays is, you did what? That poor child. I have to drive them to school strapped in and, kind of thing. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying it's very different.
Yeah.
So animals were not that big thing. I mean, animals were animals. But Walt Disney has given us heart for them. And Mark Davis, of course, who designed Thumper and Flower, and who did the greatest animals, but he did the females mostly for Disney, but he did great animals. He just gave them heart. Yeah. And I think that that's what Walt Disney has done. He's given the world the opportunity to say, I have heart for other people and other things. So getting his building done here, and getting the Thank You Walt Disney organization, getting places where kids could come and learn animation, can learn about him. I think it's fabulous.
Yeah, because we're losing that art of hand-drawn anything. Everything is so computerized now that.
Well, you will be happy to know that every day I live in Glendale, I drive by the 2 great big huge buildings that are all dedicated to hand-drawn.
Awesome.
Yes. And I go, wow. It's right at Imagineering at the Creative Campus. I could walk over. Actually, and ABC News is, I can walk over there. And on the other way, I have to drive over because it's 2 miles to Disney Studios. So I'm right in the middle of that.
Fun place to be.
Oh, it's wonderful.
So how has faith played a part in your life?
Faith has been very, very important because as a child, I grew up. I was at dancing school. I was at school. I was doing my homework. My parents were on either side of me when I went any place. I had no friends. And I was yearning for something else. And my mother told me when I was 18, she walked into my room and said, "You may now date." And turned around and said, what? Because if you were a child actor then, and I think it's probably true now, you never looked at the opposite gender. Because that meant that maybe they wouldn't hire you. You were no longer a child actor.
Oh.
You know?
Like, oh, wait, you've grown up now.
And in one of the scenes, I tell the story in my book, with the Eddie Cantor movie, I was there with Dick Humphreys, who was my sort of love interest, sort of, you could... And the director, Gordon Douglas, wanted us to flirt with each other. I have to tell you, we worked and worked. We didn't know what flirting was. He was quite disgusted with us. So when you see the movie, it's two people sort of looking coyly, over our shoulder. But so I said to June Wilson, who was the dance stand-in for Joan Davis on the movie, where do you find boys? I wouldn't know what to do with them if I found them, but at least I could know where they were. She said, you come with me to Hollywood Presbyterian Church on Wednesday night at Christian Endeavor. We got them. And so I dressed up like a beautiful movie star. I read my movie magazines. I knew how you could do that. And I went over, and sure enough, there were about 200 young people there. And there were boys there. That was good. And then this wonderful woman who is very famous in Christian history, Henrietta Mears, came out and talked about arguing with God. And I thought, I got to know that. I got to know that. And I discipled under her and became a Christian 1949 on St. Patrick's Day.
Wow.
Yes. Found out later when I found my family, I'm Irish and Scottish, so it worked. So it's always been very important to me, and things like talking to a friend last night here in Kansas City about animation and his love of animation, and I'm desperately trying to think of the man's name who Fritz the Cat. What is the name of the animator producer who changed the direction of animation so it could be R-rated?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I've never seen it.
I knew him. He was my neighbor around the corner. I was never so sad and disgusted in my life. Why would he do that to animation? And of course now we have those questionable animated shows on television that I heard one or two of the directors actually say, I can't let my children watch my animated cartoons with me.
Yeah.
And you think, what kind? So you can understand. I love the happy ending.
Yes.
I love the virtuous people that Disney puts in his movies. I love the way he deals with animals that seem to love each other. So that's faith-based.
Exactly. So a lot of his character came from he didn't always go to church, but he had that moral background.
A lot of us don't either. But it's it's our guide. It
Right.
is absolutely our guide.
And as they say in Peter Pan, faith, trust, and pixie dust. And faith is always the first word in that.
Absolutely, and I use it quite a bit. And back to the Ronald Reagan library where I gave the two speeches. One of the things that I got a standing ovation for at the very end, you see. And I don't know whether people know, but Ronald Reagan had a saying, which they have on slogans and so on for him. Maybe you'll catch it. So I said, everybody remember, it's faith and trust, but verify. And pixie dust.
Right.
And actually, you have to verify at the same time. But you look for that. You look for that. And that's the yearning that I think people love Tinkerbell, because she's always looking for that. She's always going around the corner. The first time we find her, well, you've read the book.
Yeah.
And the first time we find her in a jug. She liked it very much. She'd never seen a jug before.
Yeah.
She could hardly wait. And that's me. What's around the corner?
Curiosity.
And I think people and the expectancy that it's going to be wonderful, not what we are sort of getting. I'm not getting political or anything. I don't mean that. But for years and years and years, I love the California Angels. They're my team back at baseball team. And if they won a team, my newspaper would say, Angels squeak through. They can't say that the Los Angeles Angels or the California won the game. No, they squeak through.
Yeah, it sounds more dramatic.
But it's also negative. All these negative, and don't anybody let that happen to you, because it's so easy in this day and age. If you're reading a newspaper or any of those things, it's all negative.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tinkerbell is not. Right. Tinkerbell is look out world, here I come. Look out Neverland, here I come.
Yep, and that's what with my show, what we call pixie dust. We say our phrase is to keep a pixie in your pocket, and we talk about having that young at heart, good attitude, and pixie dust is sharing that good attitude with other people.
Oh, that's wonderful. That gives me tinglies.
But that's to us. That's pixie dust. Is because our attitude, if we keep the right attitude, it's infectious. If you go up and you smile and you shake somebody's hand.
Oh my!
It's
every once in a while, but you don't know that person who didn't accept your smile might not walk away and think about it.
Right.
You just never know. You know, it's interesting. I don't know. I don't remember every single opening of the Walt Disney shows. They were all named different things, but he was there. And he called it fairy dust.
Right.
So I have always said when he had fairy dust in his pocket, I had pixie dust and I brought it into the... So those are really two different things. And I figured fairy dust, yes, that's Walt Disney. Fairy dust.
The rest of us, we have our pixies.
Right. So.
Golly, I think we've covered about everything except for, you got to meet Walt Disney there on the set of Tinkerbell.
I did
so
several
talk a little about that.
Several times. He was charming. He didn't really know my name. He knew, Margaret, but that was it. One time I had told Jerry Geronimi, one of the directors who was always on the set with Mark Davis. Mark Davis, by the way, was an absolute genius, gentleman, fabulous man. I mean, he was just one of those that you would want as a friend. That's not putting down Jerry Geronimi. He was a feisty little Italian. But anyway, I had mentioned that I had gone to school with Sharon and Diane at Monticello School for Girls.
Wow.
It was brief. I think it was about 1 year or something. And he evidently mentioned it to Walt Disney. And as we're standing there, Walt Disney looked at us. I said, I understand you went to school with my daughters. You know, that wonderful Midwestern twang that he had. And I wish I could say I was brilliant. I wish I could say I said something. I said, yes, they were in different grades than I was. And to this day I'm thinking, wow, that was brilliant. But anyway, and then it sort of stopped the conversation. And he stepped back and came back and said, I think they must have liked you. And I thought, isn't that neat?
Yeah.
And he came over several times, actually, to see Mark Davis and the cameraman and the crew. And I just happened to be there, so I was invited to be in on it. But it was a thrill. And in my book, in that chapter, I put his name in capital letters. Walt Disney, because I said that's the way I felt about it. Then he was also the head of the studio. You see, I had worked at every major studio for all the years before I worked at Disney's. And the head of the studio, he was God. You never saw him, or if you did, everybody stepped out of the way to allow him to pass, that kind of thing. As a matter of fact, I was working at Fox when I got the call to see about interviewing with Mark Davis over at Disney, and Georgie Jessel had come on the set. He was he was running Fox at the time. I swear to you, he had an entourage around him.
Wow.
He was shorter than I was, but I thought there were 6 trumpeters in front of it in uniform. It felt like that. And a dancer who was right behind me said, are we supposed to curtsy? But you did. You had that feeling.
Yeah.
And here I was talking to the head of the studio. And it was about the third time that I realized, let's back up. The third time. Not only is the head of the studio that I'm chatting with, he's Walt Disney.
Right.
But I wasn't too fast on the uptake. And that kind of stuff. Because they were guys. They had stuff to talk about, And here's this little thing standing over here in her bathing suit and her cover-up. I would never meet him unless I had my little jacket cover-up over it. Yeah, those were the days when it was Mr. Davis, Mr. Disney, Mr. whatever.
Yeah, modesty and respect.
Exactly. Yeah. There was nothing wrong with it either.
Right.
Anybody. It was pretty great. I talked to Catherine Beaumont about it too. And said, did you ever feel uncomfortable there of the things that you were doing, all male crew and rough and ready and so on and so forth? She said, no, it was absolutely, Mark David or any of the directors would not put up with it. I felt very protected, is what she said. Helene Stanley was a friend of mine who fortunately died young, but she did, what princess was it? She did a beautiful job, but she told me the same thing. She said it was really wonderful to go on the set and not worry about, because she was cute as a bug, just adorable. And we all sort of felt that, and I'm walking around in a one-piece bathing suit. So.
Yeah. Oh, so what was it like? I got to ask, of course, about the Lone Ranger. I've never watched much of the TV show, but I love old radio shows.
Oh, I do too. I'm crazy about it.
Especially there's a Christmas episode I check out of the library every year of the Lone Ranger. I love it. And you got to be on the show.
I did. I got a call to go over, and I thought, well, I know how to be a female on a Western. Get in the way of the guns and say something stupid, and wear a dress that shows off your whole anatomy that had nothing to do with the Old West. Yeah. Well, it wasn't like that at all. I got to play Jane Carter. And, of course, I had lied to the casting people that I could ride. I mean, we all did. So they just had me dismount, which was smart of them. And I was a tough little cookie, daughter of an injured rancher. And that was, so I got to do a lot. But the biggest thing was, I'm the one who got to say, no, Dad, he's the Lone Ranger at the end, the height of my career.
There you go. Well, thank you so much for taking some time with us. I've been told we need to wrap up, but this has been wonderful. It's great to have finally met you after all this time.
And the truth is, the name of my book, which is Tinkerbell Talks, I certainly do.
Well, that's great, because you got so many stories.
I know, and I'm basically a storyteller. Being Scots-Irish, you can't stop me.
Right.
Thank you for asking, and you have a pixie dust today, will you?
You too. And where can people find the book?
It will be out in the first part of next month, which is, September?
Yeah, next month.
September, on Amazon. Or on my website. Go on my website anyway. You'll see me in pretty pictures, and I'll be on the sound stage and all kinds of fun stuff. And it's called TinkerbellTalks.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome so much.
He-Man and the Masters of the Universe will be back right after these messages.
This podcast is sponsored by Pocket Hose.
Hi, I'm Richard Karn. Homeowners, listen up. Before Pocket Hose, garden hoses were heavy, bulky, hard to carry, and always kinking. Then Pocket Hose changed all that. It's the American invention that made watering lighter, easier, and smarter. And now, the world's #1 expanding hose has gone ballistic. Turn on the water and watch it grow from a compact hose into a full-length, powerful hose. Turn off the water and it shrinks right back down, making it easy to carry and easy to store. But now it's even better. With a tough ballistic-infused outer sleeve, a pocket pivot that helps reduce kinks at the spigot, thicker washers to help resist leaks, and UV protection to fight sun damage. And for a limited time, you'll get 2 free gifts, a 360-degree pocket pivot and a thumb drive nozzle. Just go to PocketHose.com/podcast. That's PocketHose.com/podcast for your 2 free gifts with purchase. PocketHose.com/PODCAST.
Are you a fan of Adventures in Odyssey, Lamplighter Theater, or Jonathan Park? Want to join other fans for discussions or behind-the-scenes info about these shows? Or maybe you're looking for more great audio drama to listen to with your family. Do you enjoy hearing exclusive interviews with the cast and crew of your favorite shows? Then Audio Theater Central is the podcast for you. I'm JD Sutter. Since 2010, Audio Theater Central has been exploring the family-friendly audio drama world through news, reviews, and interviews. Join me and a rotating cast of co-hosts each month for another episode featuring the latest updates, in-depth reviews of new releases, and conversations with the actors, writers, directors, sound designers, and composers who create your favorite audio dramas. And maybe we'll introduce you to some great shows you've never heard of before. Find us at audiotheatercentral.com or in your favorite podcast app. That's audiotheatercentral.com.
To He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
I thought of all the things that I could say to come up here and introduce Margaret Kerry to you. And There are so many things that you can say about her, and there's no way that I can tell all of the things that she has done and all the people she's worked with and all the people she knows and has known. There's no way that I can do that. She can tell those stories so much better than I can. But what I need you to know is she is the original model for Tinkerbell from the 1953 Peter Pan through the Walt Disney Company. And she'll tell you more about it, but the way that she did it, the animators literally drew her doing different poses so that they could draw Tinkerbell in that movie. And they've used her ever since. She's an iconic character. Tinkerbell will never go away. And you are about to get to meet the very person that Tinkerbell is. So, boys and girls, please welcome Margaret Kerry.
Thank you so much. Isn't she beautiful?
Yes.
Hey.
I brought 2 books that are very, very important for my talk. And this sweet lady, I know her real name, but we'll call her Tinkerbell, is putting it down, and we're going to get ready in just a minute while I put the microphone where it belongs. Thank you, dear heart. Okay, a lovely hand of applause to this lady. Yes, I am the original reference model for Tinkerbell. And you should see the surprised look on people's faces when I say that to them. They wait for little men in white coats to come and take me away. Well, it's a strange thing to know about. A reference model. What in the world, until 1953, when Peter Pan, the movie Peter Pan came out, Disney never even told anybody they had reference models. They were going to be just so cool about it. But with our picture, they decided to let people know. And they called me and they said, we want you to go over to Orlando and get on the Disney Magic and tell everybody about Tinkerbell. And they were sweet enough to do a short DVD for me. And we'd like to run that for you today, which will show me doing Tinkerbell, show me doing a wild dance that I did for RKO. I've been a dancer all my life, and show you what I started to work when I was 4 years old, and then show me contemplating these pictures. And the reason I'm contemplating the pictures is they want to sell them. Okay. So if we could have the DVD, and then you will figure out what a reference model. I started to work when I was 4. I have been working ever since, having a lovely pixie dusted life, I will tell you. Worked with Eddie Cantor, and now you will see how magnificent I am with the Three Stooges. I worked with them for 139 episodes for television, and there I am tap dancing, and you won't believe the ending of this tap dance. I don't believe it myself. I cringe when I watch it. And you will get a little bit of, this was in a movie called If You Knew Susie, and I played Dick Humphreys, and my dad was Eddie Cantor, who changed my name to Margaret Kerry. We did that a lot in those days, and they got me to dance on a tabletop. They couldn't do that today. I would say, no, don't think so. Watch this now. Big ending.
Whoa.
See what I mean? So, I'm one of the top dancers in Concord, and this is where I'm looking pensively at all the beautiful artwork that they did sell on board the ship. Have any of you been on a cruise? I can't see you two. Yes, it's quite wonderful, isn't it? So, what I'm going to do is talk a little bit about, everybody asked me, how did you get the job? So I thought I would tell you that story, and then I would tell you what happened as we were going along, and we would just move along with all that. And then I'm going to talk about a couple of other things, and then at the very end, there will be a question and answer, and then something very special for you. See, I'm not pensive. I'm acting there, I think. that's even better. Yes. I forget what it looks like because I don't see it quite often anymore. But I'm there. I go around the world. I sign autographs for Disney and for Tinkerbell. Excuse me. And she is the top icon in sales for characters for Disney. Still is, even though the wonderful Elsa and Anna came along and all the rest. It's still Tinkerbell that is the icon for Disney. She is actually recognized in Outer Mongolia. That's how famous she is. And I think that's a little bit of me too at the same time. Did we do it? We finished it. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to suggest that the next question that you would ask me would be, how did you get the job? Well, I started in show business, as I said, when I was 4 years old, and I could make $8.50 a day during the Depression, being a child actor. I loved television. I moved into television when it was experimental. I did 37 major motion pictures, and I got a call from an agent who said, get over to Disney. They're auditioning for a 3.5-inch sprite who didn't talk. Disney. Now, you don't understand that, but if you had worked in the business that I had, and you worked at Warner Brothers, Columbia, Fox, all these different places, it was Disney that everybody wanted to work at. And when I wrote my book, which I'll show you in just a minute, I wrote Disney in capital letters because that's how exciting it was. So the question was, I'm to go see a fellow named Mark Davis over at Disney Studios in Burbank. Well, question is, how do you audition for you don't have a script, you don't have anything, you've got to show what you can do. So here's what I did. I put together to a 45 record. Do any of you remember the ones with the big holes? Yeah. And it was an instrumental of a 9-year-old boy fixing breakfast, and I'm going to show you a bit of the piece because when I went to Mark Davis's office, he plugged in the player, and this is what I showed him. Mark Davis was smiling, and Jerry Geronimi, who was the director, one of the directors of Peter Pan, was smiling. And I thought, wow, I think I got to have a good chance. Now let me tell you who Mark Davis was. Mark Davis, some of you have been to Disneyland, yes? Some of you have been on the Pirates of the Caribbean, yes? He designed that. He designed the Haunted Mansion. He designed the Cruella de Vil. He designed Flower and Thumper for Little Bambi. He was one of the great animators. I didn't know who he was, but I got to work with him. And of course, he designed Tinkerbell. And I stepped in front of the camera the first time that I worked for it on the sound stage, and he said, Mr. Davis, Yes, that was the time. I am carbon dating myself because that's what people call Mr. and Ms. You did not call them by their first name. Mr. Davis, what would you like? Would you like me to be ditzy like Betty Boo? Would you like to have me above it all, like the Queen of the Angels? He said, Margaret, we want her to be you. And I thought, golly, I think I can do that. So that's what that moment, Tinkerbell and I became one, alter egos, so to speak. And let me show you the first scene. In fact, you saw it up on the screen just a minute ago. He wanted me to step on a mirror, look at myself, and treat myself and be happy until I saw my hips. I'm going to do that for you. But what the difference is, when you watch it the next time that you see the film, I played her differently than they're talking about her now. I played her as if she had never seen a mirror before. And she was not saying, aren't I gorgeous? She was saying, oh, is that what I look like? Because why would they have a mirror in their head? So this is the way that I did it for them. Now, there has been a rumor for quite some time that the model for Tinkerbell was Marilyn Monroe. I worked with Marilyn Monroe. I thought she was absolutely adorable. I would do anything for her. She was beautiful. She took your breath away. She was everything that they said. Couldn't have been sweeter. But the problem with Marilyn, and as far as I know, she never interviewed for it. She was under contract at Fox at the time. And so the problem, even if they asked for Marilyn, was that she wasn't a dancer. I don't know if you ever noticed with Tinkerbell, because we put all these things together, but when you're working a movie, it is amazing the little details that make the difference. And let me show you the difference of a person walking or Tinkerbell walking, okay? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Tinkerbell. That was the dancer's walk. If any of you have taken any ballet lessons, you know that ballet goes from heel to toe. And it makes it very smooth and pretty. And Marilyn didn't know that until much later in her life. So you can tell them, na 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 na. Marilyn did not do it. Okay, so that's how I worked for 9 months on that movie. Now, at the same time, it was the time when you worked in a whole bunch of other stuff. I was doing a network show for ABC with Charlie Reynolds. I was doing my own show locally, Channel 13. I was doing radio shows at the same time. And would you believe, when I got a call from Mark Davis, he would say, wouldn't you love this each time? Would it be convenient for you to come to work next Tuesday? I had never been asked before in my life whether it be convenient. It would be there, you know. And they would wash my hair and set it. and I would turn it with a top knot, and they decided that I would wear the bathing suit. Because why make a costume in a one-piece bathing suit worked very well? Many years later, I was having lunch with Mark and his wife Alice. Oh, I'm going to digress. I'm really good at digression, so stick with me. Alice designed most of the costumes for Snow World. She also designed and had made the costumes for Pirates of the Caribbean. Wonderful lady, wonderful designer. So we're sitting there, and I said something dumb or stupid or whatever it was, and I had more fun. And Mark Davis leaned across Alice and said, "You're still Tinkerbell after all these years." And I said, "Mark, I think that's the sweetest thing that you've ever said to me, except for maybe, would it be convenient to come to work next time?" So actually, I didn't find out until much later in my life that people were looking for Tinkerbell and wanted to know about her. It was a new thing that was happening. Now, you all are used to gatherings like this. We did not have gatherings like this at all. We had little clubs that you would go to and you would talk. And of course, Disney has been wonderful to me. I live in Glendale, and on that side, it's 1 mile to Disney Studios. On that side, it's 1.5 miles to Imagineering. Right over there is DreamWorks. Right behind me is Warner Brothers. Over there is Nickelodeon. Beyond that is Cartoon Network, is BBC. ABC News helicopter flies over my house. So I'm very, very used to being in the middle of everything, whether I was under contract to them or not. They've been very, very sweet to me. And I've had a lovely time. Well, I had an even lovelier time happen. Anybody betting? There's one. And the reason that I put those shoes on, because the next thing that they asked me to do, I couldn't wear shoes. I couldn't wear socks. As a matter of fact, they bound my feet together. They called me and asked me to do the red-headed mermaid in the lagoon. And I don't know if you remember my line that I had in it, which was, "We just wanted to drown her." And I found out that after all the work that I had done in front of the camera, that voiceover work was absolutely perfect. You didn't have to learn lines, you didn't have to put on makeup, you didn't have to fix your hair or wear a costume, you didn't have to get to work at 8 o'clock in the morning. This was for me. So that's why I put them back on, because that's what I did. After the mermaid and doing... Do any of you know Rocky and Bullwinkle, the show? Hey. Jimmy Foray was the other model for the dark-haired mermaid, and we all decided that that was the best way to go, and Jimmy made the same decision to do voiceover at the same time that I did. I'm going to ask what time it is. Where are you?
2:25.
He's on the phone?
2:25.
2:25. Thanks so much. I want to get you out of here on time and tell you all these brilliant stories. I don't want you to miss them. So anyway, I went ahead and did voiceovers, which was a wonderful thing. I worked, as I said, with the Three Stooges. I have about 48 different voices and about 21 different dialects that I do, and worked for mostly non-union groups, but it was great fun. The whole idea of doing a dialect today is sort of politically incorrect. So I'm going to do some for you in a couple of minutes, so don't tell anybody, please. Okay, I think we'll just have fun and remember the old days, that sort of thing. I did over 600 cartoons, on which I must have recorded maybe 800 1,000 different characters. And how you did that was, do any of you know the Andy Griffith Show?
Yeah.
Well, I did 2 of those, and I'm going up to Mount Airy at the last week of September, where we turned it into Mayberry Days. And one of my dearest friends was Hal Smith, who was the Otis Campbell on the show. You remember the drunk who kept putting himself in jail? Well, he also did all the voices with me, and we would stand and look at each other, and we would say things like, he would say, I have to do a German voice here. And he says, I really don't remember how to do a German accent. He says, step over with me and I will show you how to do a German accent. So we would go and I would tell you, and within a minute and a half, he was doing the German accent just fine. And the next week, he said, I said, I have to do a Jewish accent. He says, listen, my darling, you just come with me and I will show you how to use all the phlegm that you have in your voice. So that's how we learned to do all of those accents. Now, none of them were true, because if you have a real accent, you really can't understand it. So what they want is close to it that can be identified with it. So I thought I would simply have fun and tell you a couple of stories with accents, okay? Okay. All right. That works. Anyway, this one is about Kathleen. And Kathleen came over from Ireland, and she wants to find herself a man, but in the meantime, she has to get some work. So she goes to work for this family, and she's the cook and the housekeeper. And she's doing very well. And one day, the lady of the house comes down and she says, oh, Kathleen, you just do such beautiful work. And I just love your apple pie last night. My husband and I didn't even want to cut into the beautiful apple pie that you did. Did you like it now, Mrs.? Oh, we thought we were going to take a picture of it. How did you do that, Kathleen? All the little crimps around the edge that were so perfect. You like that, did you? Oh, how did you get it done? They were absolutely perfect. I did it with my teeth. And another time, Kathleen she's getting pretty frantic, so they tell her to find a man. She's got to get dolled up and get some perfume. Oh, men love perfume. She says, where do you find it? You find it at the department store. So she gets all dolled up and she goes to the department store, and there's a lady standing behind the counter, and she says, I beg your pardon. She says, yes, what is it, please? And you have perfume here? Yes, we do. What kind of perfume do you have? Well, we have intimacy, subduction, obsession. Wait a minute, don't you have anything for a beginner? Here's one of my favorites, it's the last one, but I adore this one. There were 2 twins sitting on the curb in London, and this is dropping down just a little bit. I probably have munched them. And these 2 twits are sitting on the curb and they're arguing. And one is saying, you see that mole up in the sky there? That's the moon. And the other one says, no, it's not. That's the sun. He says, no, it's not. It's the moon. It's the sun. These 2 buffoons sit there and argue, and they look up the street. And a dowager duchess is walking down with her jewelry and a cane. She's coming for him. One says, no, I'll ask your ladyship, she'll know. So he pops up and he says, begging your pardon, your ladyship. And she says, yes, what is it? And he says, you see that round thing up in the sky? Yes, I do. What about it? Is that the sun or the moon? How should I know? I don't live around here. Those are the kind of stories when it was gentle and kind and people really, really enjoyed it. We would go on tours doing dialect story because they hadn't heard the dialect for so long. Never wear spangles, you get stuck. Awesome. Let me see where the time is.
2:31.
Thank you. Okay. Some of you came to my table. Are any of you there? Somebody? Where are you? Do you remember that one of the things that I asked you was about your name? How important your name is. Well, I'm going to get a tiny bit serious because I'm going to talk about my funny book, but I picked the serious part. How clever of me. Names are so important. My names have been Margaret Lorraine McCarty, Peggy Lorraine Robb, Peggy Lynch, Kathy Carter, Margaret Kerry Brown, Margaret Kerry Wilcox.
Wow.
And you know, I still felt like I was looking for my name because, like some of you, I was adopted. And the name of my book is Tinkerbell Talks, Tales of a Pixie Dust's Life. And let me tell you a little scene that happened with me. I was 54. For 50 years, I didn't know my family. And I had produced a 15-minute show for the state of California on earthquake prevention. And through that, met a lady who was helping people find their birth mother. And so I went to see her, told her what I knew, and that I thought my mother had died in childbirth. I was only 3.5 at the time when I was adopted. And so she said, well, let me see what I can do. She called me up a month later and she said, how would you like to talk to your baby brother? I went, wow, my baby brother, kind of thing. And she says, her mother was buried in a cemetery in Glendale. And I went over one day. And I thought, I'm never going to find it. I'm never going to find my family. Well, I walked up to the lady and said, she said, when was your mother interred? And I told her, 1933, July 13th. And she went and got a file. And out of that file, just like a movie, you know, the camera comes in, the music, a little piece of paper dropped to the counter. And she said, oh, someone named M.A. McGee came back and bought a headstone for your mother's grave 11 years later. I said, oh, no, yes, and not only that, M.A. McGee lived a block away on Bruce Avenue. I said, can I write that down? So I went to see my mother's grave and it said, Nellie Henderson McCarty. My mother's name was Eleanor Mary McCarty. Wait a minute, something's wrong there. And then I thought, no, a McGee. Somebody would know a McGee, M-A-G-E-E, in Glendale. Because Glendale is such a wonderful town. No one in their right mind would ever leave. They just wouldn't. So I tore a piece out of a directory, a phone directory. That's when we had them hanging on the phone. And I went home and I finally called the first one, dialed M-A-G-E-E, and there was no answer. I dialed the second one and there was a busy signal. I dialed the third one and I heard, hello. And I said, I'm looking for M.A. McGee who lived on Bruce Avenue. And she said, I'm Mildred McGee and I lived on Bruce Avenue. And I said, did you buy a headstone for my mother, Nellie Henderson McCarty? And she said, Nellie was my older sister. Margaret Lorraine, is this you? She remembered me from when I was 3.5. And I said to her, would you be adverse to meeting with me? She said, you get yourself right over here. And I found my whole family. So names are so important to me. And I want to tell you how important. Find out while you can, how you got that name, who you were named after. You never know when you're going to use it. I know that it's a lovely story, and it happened because I had a pixie dust life. I really, really do. And so I want to let you know that's in my book. which will be out in about the second week in September. And that's what it's called, Tales of a Dixie Dusty Life. Everything about Tinkerbell in it and all my life. And working with the Andy Griffith Show, working with Funkadelic and doing an animation for them. And all the things that I have done, I think you might enjoy it. And over at my table is a piece of paper. You can write out your name and your address, and we will let you know. So like Tinkerbell, sad things turn to wonderful things. And I think that's what we remember about her and love about her. And now I'm going to ask if we could do some Q&A. Anybody have any questions? I think there's a microphone someplace there. And Todd, would you be so kind as to stand with the person? Because I'm 87 years old, folks, and I don't hear that well. Don't tell anybody. That's our secret, okay?
Okay, so my question was, do you think that Tinkerbell would ever warm up to Wendy, or do you think she would always have that, like, jealousy over Wendy stealing all the attention from Peter?
I got Wendy's name in there. Try again.
Do you think that Tinkerbell would ever warm up to Wendy, or do you think she'd always just be really jealous?
I think that most people, I think I'm answering the question. After reading her and understanding what was going on, people misunderstand that Tinkerbell was not in love with Peter Pan. He was her hero who would take on her own adventures. And when they ran smack dab into Wendy, that big ugly girl might be taking her place. She had to go. So I sort of say that Tinkerbell is Peter's groupie. Which really makes sense of what she's doing because, as we know, James M. Barrie said that she was so tiny that she was either very good or very bad. And in this case, she was very bad. Thank you for the question.
Hello. I was wondering, when you first visited Disneyland, what was your impression? What was your first reaction to it?
Well, interestingly enough, I did not get to the opening of Disneyland because I was expecting my second child. My husband had been, who was in television, was the associate director on the opening kind of thing. But my first impression, everybody called me and said, do you realize that Tinkerbell is every place? It's on the napkins, on the tickets, on everything, on the banners and so on. I said, well, what about Mickey Mouse? And they, no, not here, it's Tinkerbell. So when I went to see it, of course, I was just dumbstruck. I mean, no one had ever seen anything like this before. But I have to say, wow, I'm the hostess here. That's when we were using host and hostess, not cast member. That was way back when. So, yes, I just was dumbstruck, and I had to go back the third time to really understand what was happening and how it was happening and how remarkable it was.
Thank you. And thank you for Peter Pan is my favorite childhood movie. Thank you for being such a big part of my childhood.
Oh.
What was your favorite part about playing Tinkerbell?
Okay, I need that repeated.
She's asking your favorite part of being Tinkerbell.
Being here on this stage right now. I'm the happiest people in the world. They think I'm the happiest person in the world, and I am. Because Jake and I are really alter egos. I can hardly wait to find out what's around the corner. I pick up a book. I want to know, oh, that's something else that I haven't gotten around to. And this is the joy of her, and knowing that she's given this pleasure to everybody. She really, really is. She's amazing. And so much of it was Mark Davis, one of the Nile men of Disney, one of the great artists and animators of all time, and I got to work with him. He's doing fantastic.
What other roles did you play? Like, did you do any other roles for any other cartoons and stuff?
clue. I can't.
She's asking what other characters you have played besides Tinkerbell.
Well, the Red-Headed Mermaid was one. In Clutch Cargo, I played 297 episodes for television, and I played 8 or 9 different characters in each one, including one I'll never forget was a camel. That was interesting. I also did in another one with Captain Fandom a penguin. And then I was Secret Agent X with a patch over my eye. And then a newborn baby. One of my favorites was, oh yes, I'm going to get you Mo and Larry and Curly Joe. You just come into my house and let me show you around, won't you, dearie? So I did the witches. And those kind of characters, great fun. They really were. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so my question is, when did you get to know what Tinkerbell looked like?
Oh, the first day that I walked into Mark Davis's office, what they do is they put all the big sheets that they've sketched around the room and try this character doing this, that, and the other. And so I walked in and here they were. You know, it was wonderful to see. By the way, I love this story too because it happened that same luncheon when he said, you're still Tinkerbell. I said, tell her, baby, you just don't want to stay put, do you? Okay, I said to Mark Davis, do you realize that she's the only really iconic character who shows her underpants? And Mark Davis answered, he said, did you notice they're always clean? But she is. She's the only one, and he drew her that way.
Hello.
Hello.
Well, with all these new movies, these new Tinkerbell movies, obviously the very first Peter Pan and Tinkerbell is always going to be the best one. But other than that, which other of these Tinkerbells have you liked so far with all the other Tinkerbell movies? What do you think of them?
Well, people ask me about the 7 movies that they made on the CGI. And I'll tell you, we keep secrets here, right? Okay, you're not going to tell anybody I don't hear will. You already promised that. It's just amazing to me. I never thought of Tinkerbell living in a room. I never thought of her going to work 9 to 5. And I never thought of her being a supervisor. Again, having a supervisor. But the movies are so charming and so adorable. And the interesting part, if you really know what they were made for, they teach a lesson, each one of them, very, very subtly. Do you remember when she broke the wand? I've forgotten the name of the movie, and it scattered all over, and she had to go searching for it, and Terrence came and helped her. The lesson for that was good friends never turn their back on them. And all 7 had these wonderful ones, and of course the last one, where she finds a sister that she doesn't know she had, that sort of touched me. So, you know, I give them a lot of slack. They really couldn't stay to the same thing. It was, but I do like Peter Pan and Return to Neverland. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
How challenging was it to do the physical humor in the Three Stooges movies?
Oh dear, I have never understood that it was humorous. By the way, they were wonderful people to work with. They were amazing people to work with. And Ron Howard's wife and Larry Fine's wife ran the whole shebang. And if Mrs. Howard thought that they were taking too long for us to record this scene or whatever, she'd say, Mo, it's getting close to lunch. And he'd say, yes, darling, and we would record it like that. They were all dear people. And interestingly enough, if Mo Howard combed his hair back,
and we went out to lunch together. Hardly anybody recognized him. I found that interesting. But I never found hitting people or any of those things was funny. But, you know, I'm a girl. What can I tell you? I think that that's about all that I have time for the Q&A. Oh, there's one more. Okay, I see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
What was your favorite role to play other than Tinkerbell?
Would you say it again?
What was your favorite role to play other than Tinkerbell?
Other than Tinkerbell? Oh, good question. I have no answer. I really don't. Every role that an actor does is a favorite role at that moment. It's true. If they tell you that. Tinkerbell, of course, has lingered and lingered because she gives such joy to everybody, and people yearn for it. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do something right now that will tell you about that, and I think it's about, yes, I can just do it. I want everybody, if they would, to stand up and stretch. And then pretend they are in their johnnies. Turn around once. And sit down, and I'm going to read a story.
Oh yeah, I'm turning around once. This would be some interesting video.
And bring back the time when people read to you. And it goes this way. This is the Darlings nursery at the very beginning of the story. And you know the Darlings, they have 3 children, Wendy, Michael, and John. And this is when Peter Pan first comes. It says, and there was another light in the room, 1,000 times brighter than the night light. And the time we have taken to say this, it has been in every drawer in the nursery, looking for Peter Pan's shadow, rummaging through the wardrobe, turning every pocket inside out. Oh, it was not really a night light. It made a light by flashing about so quickly that when it came to rest on the second, you saw it was a fairy. No longer than your hand, but still growing. It was a girl called Tinkerbell, exquisitely gowned in a skeleton leaf, cut low and square, through which her figure could be seen to best advantage. A moment after that, the fairy's entrance, the window was blown open by the breathing of those stars, and Peter Pan dropped in. Tink, where are you? She was in a jar for a moment, and like to get extremely, she'd never been in a jar before. Oh, do come out of that jar and tell me, did you find my shadow? The loveliest tinkle as a golden bell answered him. It was a fairy language. Oh, you ordinary children, you can never hear it, but if you were to hear it, you would know that you had. Tink said that the shadow was in the big box. She meant, of course, the chest of drawers, and Peter jumped at it. Now he caught the shadow, and if he had thought at all. But I don't think he ever did think, but he thought that if he caught the shadow and they came close to him, why, they would be attached. But they didn't. He was appalled. He tried so to put them all, and it didn't help. He sat down and he cried. His sobs woke Wendy, and she sat up in bed. She began to long to see a stranger crying on the nursery floor. She was only pleasantly interested. Boy, why are you crying? Peter could be exceedingly polite, and he leapt up and bowed beautifully. What's your name? Wendy, Moira, Angela, Dorothy. What is your name? Peter Pan. Is that all? Oh, yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, it doesn't matter. Where do you live? Second story on the right, straight on till morning. How old are you, Peter? Oh, I don't know. I was quite young. Wendy, I remember away with the daily one. Yep. It was because I heard mother and father talking about what I was going to be when I became a man, and I don't ever want to become a man. I always want to be a little boy and have fun. So I ran away to Kensington Gardens and lived for a long time among the fairies. Peter! You know fairies? Oh, how delightful. You see, when the first baby laughed for the first time, its laugh broke into thousands of pieces, and they all went skipping about, and that was the beginning of the fairies. So you see, there ought to be one fairy for every boy and every girl. Ought to be? Isn't there? No. You see, children know so much now. They still don't believe in fairies, and every time a child says, I don't believe in fairies, the fairy drops dead. Really, he thought, they had talked enough of fairies, and it struck him that Tinkerbell had been kept very quiet. I can't think where she's going. Peter? Peter, you don't mean that there's a fairy in this room? Well, she was here just now. You don't hear her, do you? Yeah, other sound I hear is like a tinkle of bells. Well, that's it, that's Tink. That's the fairy language. Oh, I think I hear her too. I do believe I shut her in the door. He let poor Tinka out of the drawer, and she flew about the nursery screaming with fury. Oh, you shouldn't say such things, Tink. Of course I'm sorry. Well, I know you were in the drawer. Oh, Peter, if she would only stand still and let me see them. Oh, they hardly ever stand still. But for one moment, when he saw the romantic figure come to rest on the cuckoo clock. Oh, Peter, the lovely. Jake, this lady says she wishes you were her fairy. What does she say, Peter? Well, she's not very polite. She says you're a big, ugly girl and that she's my fairy. You know you can't be my fairy, too, because I'm a gentleman and you are a lady. To which Tinkerbell says as she exits the room, oh, you sting nitwit. Caught up a little bit with Tinkerbell and through Disney. And one of the reasons that I am here, we talked about names, is Disney's name. Now, I told you I live right around Disney. All the people around there we take it for granted. But many of you do not know that Walt Disney got his start right here in Kansas City. That is so huge. Mm-hmm. That is huge. And the dear lady who was Alice, the first one, she lived here. She was a dear friend of mine. She told about the theater where Walt Disney found her, where she was doing a commercial for, I think it was Renegade Bread. And he said, we're going to do a cartoon, a combination. We're going to do a live girl with cartoons of animals all around. She's going to react. And we think you're the one. And he didn't have enough money to have a place to shoot. And Virginia said the first one was filmed in her house here in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. That was the one that sold. And on top of that, she said, you know where I was tucked in the bedroom? And that was my bedroom. And those were my pajamas that I was tucked in. And I said, Virginia, the amazing thing to me is that you were directed by Walt Disney. She said, not only that, his brother ran the camera. And that was how he started right here in Kansas City. There's an organization that is called Thank You, Walt Disney. They have a table here. I want you to find out about it. It is so vital for you to know. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen, for your city and for your area around here. People should come here, should see the building where he started with lapograms, and you're the ones that can do it. So please, if you would make a little promise to Tinkerbell that you would go to that table and at least find out about it, because that's why I'm here. They brought me here along with Matt, who does the, what's the name of the group that we're, Comic-Con. But that's what I want you to know. I want you to take it in that you're a Kansas Cityan, I guess that's what they call it, and you can claim Walt Disney, the start of that huge career, a man who changed the world. Okay? And so I need you to do one more thing. You finish this now. You know that what's coming up. I'm going to say faith, trust, and then you give me the rest of it, okay? So it's faith and trust and...
Pixie dust!
Pixie dust! I love it. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, as we wrap things up today, I do want to remind you, of course, to visit neverlandpodcast.com. There you'll find links for Podgagement. Podgagement is a fantastic service. If you haven't have a podcast, that is Daniel J. Lewis's company. If you haven't have a podcast, he's got all the tools you need to succeed. And of course, you will also find links for W, as we mentioned before, and also how to get over to join the Neverlanders or our Patreon or even Red Circle, which is right in your show notes. At Red Circle, you can get an exclusive membership through Patreon or through Red Circle, to where you can get an ad-free version of the episode, except for the ads, of course, that I read for you. And if this show has been a part of your life over the last 12 years and you want to help keep us going, just feel free to join our Patreon. Even $5 a month will help me keep the lights on and maybe work through some bigger projects. But we do want to thank Karen Kennedy, Ricky Pope of Christian Nerds Unite, and Darren Wilhite of the Will Height and Wall Show for helping me out with the introduction. Want to remind you once again to listen to the Watching Movies with My Pastor. As I'm recording this, we are past when Philip and I sat and watched the 1987 Masters of the Universe. That episode will be coming out very soon. Don't forget to email us, podcast@neverlandpodcast.com. Follow us on X or Twitter, NeverlandPcast. On Facebook, you can find the Fandom Nexus. That's a fan page, a like page. Our Facebook group where you can interact is under Neverland Podcast. Don't forget also, we have the Fandom Gamer over on YouTube, and a lot of other channels are also on YouTube as well. If you search for the Fandom Nexus or the Spider Pain, you can find my own personal YouTube channel. No copyright infringement is intended, and copyright is held by the respective owners. Content is shared for review and commentary purposes under fair use license. And now, get lost in an adventure, and I'll see you next time.
What is that?
Yeah, it's a World Cup holder.
Like the soccer tournament World Cup?
Holder. For the world. Fits every car, holds every cup.
It has a Carvana logo?
Yeah, Carvana made it. They buy and sell cars, so they made a car cup holder. So, got any good cups lately?
Used to, just couldn't figure out where in the world to put them.
The World Cup holder, brought to you by Carvana, proud sponsors of the World Cup holder.
Sign up today to win yours at cup-holder2026.com. Not authorized or endorsed by FIFA. Not a real product. For parody and fair use purposes only.